Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're all very welcome to this evening's In Practice. So, as most of you know, In Practice is a slower yoga practice to improve our flexibility. It has great health benefits when combined with the breathing, letting go of negative emotions, improving overall kind of joint health, helping a lot with lower back problems. So we do a variety of poses this evening. So as always, in any class, you know your own body. Go to your own limitations, but not beyond. What they talk about in Yin practice is the green zone, the orange zone, and the red zone. Green zone being where it's too easy for you, not really feeling anything. The orange zone is ideally where you want to be. You don't want to go into the red zone where you're experiencing any pain or pinching, particularly with any kind of back issues. If you have any sciatic issues or any joint issues, just be careful, do what you can. At any stage, if you're finding the poses challenging, you're welcome just to lie in Shavasana, crocodile pose, or even take a child's pose. Just do whatever's right for your own body. So as you know, we mainly will hold poses for at least 3 minutes, sometimes up to 5 minutes. It's a good exercise also in mindfulness. I usually would encourage students in Yin practice to focus on the breath, which we'll talk about at the start. Also to observe thoughts. It's a good practice to get into to observing thoughts. So observing thoughts, anything that may arise during the asanas, and practicing letting go, trying to find the stillness between the thoughts. Usually with the pranayama, with the breathing for Yin, I usually would recommend slow, deep inhales and longer exhales. Longer exhales work to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is associating with resting. It's a good way to stimulate the stretch reflex in the asanas. So just do what you can. Hope you enjoy the practice. Most people find a sense of release during the Yin practice. Hopefully that will be the case this evening. So we're going to start, like I normally do, with a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of breathing practice, just to slow down the breath. So I'd encourage you to sit in a comfortable Sukhasana, cross-legged pose if that's accessible. You can sit Japanese style Virasana with your feet pointing backwards, raising your seat on a block, a bolster, a pillow, whatever feels right. So ideally I would encourage, even at the start of this pose, just to allow relaxation to the hips, allowing the hips to open. So gently close your eyes, and we're going to start to bringing the attention to the breath. Observing the inflow and outflow of the breath, where you are feeling the breath through the nose, through the back of the throat, feeling the chest and abdomen rising on the inhale, and on the exhale, feeling the breath leaving the body, feeling the chest and abdomen sinking. So just with your eyes closed, starting to focus on your own breath. Whatever's happened in your day today, just try and let go of that and just keep this practice as your time. Just remain silent for a few minutes, focusing on the breath. Thoughts occur, letting go of these, finding the space between the thoughts, coming back to the breath. We're going to start now cultivating, elongating the breath. So at your next exhale, I'm going to count you through some inhales and exhales. So at your next exhale, hold your breath. As always, I'm going to use the metronome to help us with counting. So inhaling for 4. Exhale 4. Inhale 4. Exhale 4. Inhale 4. And exhale 4. Inhale 4. Exhale 4. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Inhale 4. Exhale 6. Inhale 6. 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 Exhale 8. 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 Just returning now to normal breathing rhythm. I encourage you to breathe slowly in through the nose, exhaling through the nose. If you can, if it feels good, to practice the pranayama we've just done with longer exhales to see what effect it has on your practice. And I would also encourage within your practice to try ujjayi breath, where you're inhaling with the nose closed and exhaling with the nose closed, but through a restriction, inhale and exhale at the back of the throat. This can be quite beneficial in yoga practice, just to have to slow down the breath. So we're going to start our physical practice now. So I will talk you through the asanas. I'll discuss modifications using props. So as I said, just do what you can. It's not a competition. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. So we're going to start in Dandasana, which is sat pose, sitting with a Straight spine, legs pointing out. The first pose we're going to come to is half butterfly. So Dandasana, if it's challenging at all to sit with a straight spine, you're welcome to place a block under your sitting bone. We're going to do the first side by bringing a right sole of the foot, pressing on the inner thigh. This is half butterfly. So the right sole is pressing in to the left thigh, spine is engaged. We're just using this asana to start to externally rotate the right hip. So without using any muscular effort, just allowing your knee to gravitate down towards the mat. If this feels comfortable as the asana progresses, you're welcome to place a bolster or a pillow blanket under your knee. So ideally, you're just focusing on letting go. As I said, focusing on the breath here. Slow, deep inhales through the nose and longer, deep exhales. Practicing observing thoughts, letting go of the thoughts. Practice being the observer of your thoughts, realizing you are not your thoughts. You are the silent observer of your thoughts. May feel nice to close your eyes and just allow your body to soften. This asana is working on the external rotators, in this case of the right hip, allowing your hips to gently open. It's slightly less challenging than the full butterfly, which we will do in a couple of asanas later. Allows more space for the right hip to open. You may also feel this in your glutes, because your knee is quite flexed. You can experiment with the position of the foot, up or down the leg. If you place the foot farther down the leg, it's working more as a groin stretch. If you place the foot up closer to your sitting bones, it's working more on the external rotators. Trying to remain mindful. Just let everything soften and relax. If you're feeling any discomfort, particularly in the right hip or the right quads, just take a deep inhale and send your breath there, visualizing everything softening and relaxing. Yin is working on the deeper tissues which don't stretch as easily as muscles, like the deep fascia, joint capsules, ligaments. Yin is working to place a gentle stress on these, just loosen them out. And over a period of time, we'll gain a greater range of movement, in this case in the hips. If you're starting to feel relaxed, you can fold forward, holding onto your ankle, or if it's comfortable to grab your big toes or the outside of your feet. Just allowing the spine to relax and round forward. The upper body is soft and relaxed, just allowing everything to round forward. Again, here you shouldn't feel any pinching in the lower spine or the sacroiliac joint. If you're feeling any discomfort there, you're in the red zone and you need to back out of the pose slightly. Gently coming back to sitting upright. We're going to swap sides. So we're going to extend, this time our right leg, pressing the foot into an imaginary wall. This time, pressing your left sole of the foot into the right inner thigh, or farther down if that feels more comfortable. Again, you can sit on a block if needs be. And also place your hands pointing back, fingers pointing back. This can help to draw the shoulder blades together gently, keep the spine straighter. Focusing on the breath, constantly coming back to physical sensations, observing the difference between the right and the left hip. In a lot of cases, one is more flexible than the other. And again, starting to round forward, in line with the inner seam of the right leg, holding onto your ankle, your foot, allowing the upper body to drape forward. Again, if you're feeling tightness in the left hip, sending the breath there, observing the tissues soften and release. Slow, deep inhales and longer, deep exhales through the nose. Noticing if the left knee is gently falling down towards the mat. We all have different anatomy in our hips, so don't judge yourself. It's not a competition. It's also a great asana for stretching out fascia in the lumbar spine, which is a cause of back discomfort for a lot of people. Just be gentle with yourself. Again, as always, you shouldn't be in the red zone, just stay in the orange zone. We're coming back to Dandasana. Next pose we're coming to is angel pose. In angel pose, we remain seating. We're drawing our heels towards our sitting bones. We're wrapping our arms below the knees, and we're gently allowing the forehead to touch off the knees. This asana is a gentle stretch for the cervical spine and also the glutes. Again, it's also working on the fascia muscles in the lower spine. Again, if this asana is challenging, you're welcome to sit on a cushion if it's uncomfortable. You should feel a gentle stretch, which should feel no pain. Going back to the breath, observing any physical sensations, even bringing your attention to your feet, focusing on where you feel the weight distributed on the soles of the right and left foot. And coming back to Dandasana. Sitting with a tall spine. Legs are relaxed but straight. Toes pointing up. We've done half butterfly, so our next asana is butterfly. So butterfly, again, you have tight hamstrings. Can be beneficial to raise your seat on a small cushion, a towel. This time we're bringing both feet, soles of the feet into touching. So depending on whether you're working on stretching the inner groins or you want a deeper stretch in the external rotators of the hips, you can experiment with your feet positioning. If you draw the heels in towards closer to the sitting bones, you're working more on external rotation of the hips. If you move the feet farther away, you're working on an inner groin stretch. So just experiment with what feels good today. No muscular engagement here. You're just allowing the knees to gently fall out to the sides, focusing on the breath, focusing on physical sensations. If any tension is occurring, sending your breath there. If you have discomfort in your lower spine, you're welcome to stay here. But if you feel good, you can deepen the stretch by folding forward, allowing the upper body to round forward. So again, in this position, you're working on releasing the fascia in the lumbar spine, stretch for the cervical neck muscles, going into flexion, allowing the knees to gently relax, bringing about external rotation in the right and left hip. Remembering to stay in the orange zone. If it's uncomfortable for your neck or head, you're welcome to place a bolster, rest in your head. Taking any position that makes you more comfortable. Allowing the upper body to release, fold forward, gently stretching the lower spine and opening up your hips, externally rotating your hips. Your mind wanders, observing your thoughts, letting them go, coming back to the breath. the physical sensations. Leaving any props now to one side and coming back to Dandasana. You can take a Shavasana here for 1 minute, just to loosen out. Allowing for a minute, everything to soften and relax into the mat. Palms facing up, toes dropping out to the sides. Keeping the eyes gently closed, focusing on the breath. This time letting go of any physical sensations. Our next asana is happy baby pose. So stepping your feet back onto the mat. We're going to lift up our left leg, grabbing the outside of the left foot from the inside of the knee. Likewise on the right. Ideally, keeping the lower spine gently pressing into the mat. If it feels uncomfortable for your lower spine, you're welcome to place a cushion under the lower spine, the lumbar spine. There's obviously a slight muscular engagement in the muscles of both arms to hold the feet. Try not to pull too hard, just allow everything to soften and relax. This is also a good stretch for the groins, the quads, also the hip external rotators. Sending your breath to anywhere you're feeling any discomfort. Visualizing if your sacrum is gently coming down towards or pressing into the mat. Coming out of the pose by letting go of the feet and gently placing the feet back on the mat. And make a very gently windscreen wiper with your knees. Just loosen down the hips. Pressing yourself back up to seated. Next asana we're coming to is deer pose. So in deer pose, we're going to start by dropping the right knee, bending the right leg, dropping the right leg onto the mat. And likewise, bending the left leg, allowing the left knee to go out to the left. So in this asana, on this side, the left hip is externally rotated, the right hip is internally rotated. So it is difficult to keep both sitting bones pressed into the mat. You're welcome to use a cushion, a towel, anything just gently under the right hip on this side, which tends to lift off the mat. Or indeed the left, if that feels more comfortable. You're welcome to stay in this position. If it feels comfortable, reaching out over the left leg, just allowing everything to soften and relax. We're getting a good stretch here in the external rotators in the left hip. You're also going to feel it on the internal rotator muscles of the right hip. If you feel comfortable, you can experiment with moving right leg back, getting a deeper stretch. As always, focusing on the breath. Slow, deep inhales, long exhales. And bringing your awareness to any physical sensations you're feeling during the asana, sending the breath there. The upper body is loose and relaxed. Feels good. Placing your forehead on your cheek, on top of your hands. We're going to gently come out to an upright position, placing both legs, feet back on the mat. We're going to repeat that in the opposite ways. This time, drawing your left foot back. Right knee is also at 90 degrees. Using any props that are necessary. In case placing a blanket or a cushion under the right hip. The right hip is externally rotated. The left hip is internally rotated. If you have tight quads, you may feel a pull on this side as well, but you can experiment with the foot position. Just be careful that there's no pinching sensation on the inside of the right knee. If there is, experiment with raising the knee onto a cushion or a blanket. Again, if it feels good here, gently folding over the right side. Observing if there's any difference between right and left side. Is often the case with most students. Focusing on the breath, the physical sensations. Allowing a gentle release, allowing everything to soften and relax. To uncomfortable your lower back, you're welcome to come back up onto your hands. Again, making sure, as in all of the asanas, that you stay in the orange zone, not in the red zone. Again, experimenting with the position of the left foot. You can move it back behind you to deepen the stretch. With control, coming out of the asana into a seated position. Here we're going to take a child's pose. So whatever feels best for your hips this evening. If you place your knees wide on the mat, big toes touching, you're gaining a deeper stretch into the hips. Can be slightly more challenging, or you can keep your knees together, allowing your sitting bone to gently drop down towards your heels. So whenever feels comfortable, you can also place a cushion, blanket under your forehead, that feels right. Allowing your sitting bones to drop down towards your heels. Your upper body is totally relaxed. Whatever feel best for your arms, you can drape your arms back, palms facing up. Or you can move your hands forward, palms facing down, getting a slight shoulder stretch here. You can also make a pillow from your hands if that feels good. Focusing on the breath, allowing everything to relax, observing physical sensations, letting go of any thoughts that occur. Here, coming back up to tabletop, you can make some gentle cat-cow movements to loosen out the spine. Next asana we're coming to is frog pose. There's two versions of this, frog or gecko, which I'll explain. So in frog pose, with your hips high, now both knees come out to the sides, big toes are touching. Knees will often come off the mat, and that can be a good thing because if you're on a slippy floor, it can gently allow your hips to open. You're getting a stretch in the inner groin on both sides and the external rotators of the hips. If it's uncomfortable for your knees, placing a towel or a blanket under the knees, allowing them to gently release to the sides. Trying to keep hips high. You can come down to a Sphinx position if that feels comfortable. You can remain in upward frog, gently pressing your hands into the mat. Or if you feel good and comfortable in this asana, make a pillow from your hands, allowing your head, the forehead to relax onto your hands. You will feel some sensation in the inner thighs and the external rotators. Just sending your breath there, allowing everything to soften and relax. If this asana is challenging for you today, an easier version is to do half frog or gecko, letting one leg go behind. You can place a cushion under the quads, just allowing your straightened leg to sink into the cushion or bolster. This half frog is often called gecko pose as well. So if you're in half frog or a gecko, just staying here for 2 more minutes, then changing sides. If you're in full expression of frog, just remaining here for a few minutes. And just being careful if there's any pain in the knees, you're in the red zone, just to back out of the pose. You can also place a bolster or cushion under your chest. That feels comfortable. Just whatever is making the asana more comfortable, allowing everything to soften and relax. Sending your breath to anywhere you're feeling discomfort. If you're in half frog, changing sides now, just drawing the straightened leg into the frog position and allowing the opposite leg to point straight back, placing a cushion or a bolster under the quads. Just going to stay here for 2 more minutes. Again, you're getting a deep stretch in the lumbar spine and deep fascia. So if this is too challenging, going back up onto your hands. Just going to stay here for 30 more seconds. Gently coming out of the pose. Coming back in to a tabletop. Making some gentle movements to loosen out the hips. Here we're just going to come to a crocodile pose for 1 minute. So coming onto your prone position, allowing the forward to drop into your hands. Both legs are relaxed, toes pointing backwards. Our next asana this evening is cat pulling the tail. We're going to start in a Sphinx pose. In Sphinx pose, we're going to bring our left hand onto our chin. We'll lift up our right foot, grabbing it with the right hand, and allowing it to fall backwards. Allowing our body to sink onto the mat. Left arm can be extended. Going back to the breath, focusing on any sensations. You can also experiment with the position of the left knee, bringing it more forward, deepen the stretch. Sometimes feel this asana in the transverse abdominals. You're also getting a deep stretch in the right hip flexors, right psoas. And coming out of the asana, going to repeat that on the opposite side. So going back up into Sphinx pose. Placing the right hand under the chin, allowing the right knee to flex, holding on to the left foot, gently drawing left foot backwards and coming down onto your side. Cat pulling the tail on the opposite side. This time getting a deep stretch, the left hip flexors. Focusing on the breath. Observing any physical sensations, sending your breath there. You also feel this in the left quadriceps. You're also getting a good stretch here across the left shoulder. From here, gently releasing your hand, rolling onto your back, and just coming to Shavasana for 1 minute. Allowing the toes to drop out to the sides. Focusing on slow, deep inhales and long exhales. And letting go of any physical sensations. And gently coming back to seated. Next asana we're coming to is dragon pose. This is lizard pose in the yang practice, but here we're going to do this as a gentler stretch. So pressing your left foot forward, knee is flexed, foot pressing into the mat. And experiment with drawing the right knee back, whatever feels comfortable. Usually I recommend placing a bolster or a blanket under the right quads. You can stay on your hands, or if it feels comfortable, you come down onto your forearms. It's also a great hip opener, this time on the left hip, and also a deep stretch for the right hip flexors. It's going to be quite a challenging asana, and we've already done some hip openers, so again, stay in the organ zone. It's fine to stay up on your hands. You can come on to the side of the left foot, little toe side, creating a deeper stretch in the external rotators of the left hip. Focusing on the breath, observing any physical sensations, sending your breath there.
Looking for a page.
Just 30 more seconds on this side. On your forearms, coming back onto your hands, coming back into tabletop, and again, making gentle circles here just to let go of any intense feeling in the hips. Now swapping sides, so this time stepping into the mat with your right foot. Right knee is flexed 90 degrees. And again, drawing the left knee back, wherever feels comfortable. Giving you a deep stretch for the left hip flexors. Again, experimenting with the position of the upper body. Using whatever props are necessary. Staying up in your hands or coming onto your forearms. Observing any differences between the right and left side. Sending your breath to any tightness. In this case, in the right hip flexors or the left, the right external rotators or the left hip flexors. Visualizing tissues soften and relax. I'm staying here for one more minute. Gently coming out of the pose, removing any props, coming back to tabletop. Just making whatever movements feel comfortable. There's two more asanas to go now. Next asana we're coming to is easy camel. So camel, anyone who goes to regular yoga knows, can be quite an intense yang pose. This time we're just going to do it as a yin pose, placing our hands behind. Sometimes can feel nice to place a cushion on top of your calves, and just allowing the shoulders to open, front line to stretch. You feel a stretch here in the rectus abdominal muscles. Shoulder blades are drawn together, getting a deep stretch across the shoulders. Now the neck relax, but being careful of any sensations if your head is dropping back too far, staying in the orange zone. it feels good, you can allow your palms of your hands to come back onto the mat. So there's obviously muscular engagement in both arms to support the upper body. We're also getting a stretch in the quads, right and left here. As always, keeping the breath slow and relaxed. Observing any physical sensations, sending your breath there. This can be quite an intense shoulder stretch for people that work at a desk. It's very beneficial working on the deep fascia across the shoulders, ligaments, tendons also. Many people feel a stretch in the intercostal muscles also. I'm just going to stay one more minute here. Feel comfortable, you can walk your hands further back, deepen the stretch. Remembering to stay in the orange zone, not going into the red zone. It'll be quite an intense stretch for the quads. Careful if you've any issues with the knees. And slowly walking your hands in. Coming back up to Brasana. Take it again. Tabletop. Just loosening out shoulders and hips. Our last asana this evening is dangling pose, which is a yin version of a forward fold. So coming up into down dog and walking your feet in. This is done as a yin pose, not an intense hamstring stretch. If it feels good, you can go back against the wall, place the heel against the wall. That can make the pose more accessible. So allowing your upper body to fold forward. You can grab opposite wrists or elbows, allowing a little bend in the knees is fine. Trying to find stillness here, allowing the upper body to drape forward, ideally resting on the quads, head and neck loose and relaxed. Getting a stretch here in the shoulders. Very good for releasing tension in the cervical spine. Can place your hands on the mat if that feels better this evening. Can gently stretch the hamstrings. Try not to go into the red zone. Again, this is a great asana for releasing the fascia in the lumbar spine. The cause for back issues in many students. Particularly when the opposite elbows are held. Great stretch for the shoulders also. Staying here for one more minute. You wish to get a hamstring stretch, just straightening knees without causing any stress. The last 30 seconds. From here, again, we're just going to come to tabletop, make some cat-cow movements, loosen out the lower spine. And from here, coming to your final Shavasana. Finding corpse pose Shavasana on the mat. Feet are wide on the mat. Toes falling out to the side. The arms are also wide on the mat. Palms facing up, keeping the eyes gently closed. Bringing your focus back onto the breath. Focusing as you inhale on the gentle rise of the abdomen. And as you exhale, feeling the abdomen sinking down towards the mat. Bringing our awareness to the points of contact between our physical body and the mat. Back of our head, back of our neck, the right shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade, right arm, right wrist, right hand, left arm, left wrist, left hand, buttocks, thighs, calves, heels. Trying now to let go of any physical sensations. Trying to find stillness in the physical body. Focusing on the breath. If thoughts occur, observe them, let them pass. Focusing on the gap, the end of the inhale, gap at the end of the exhale, and finding space between the thoughts. Just staying here in stillness for a few moments. Bringing your attention again back onto your breath. Starting to waken up the physical body. Start to wiggle the fingers and toes. Make gentle circles. The ankles, wrists. Gently rock the head from side to side. May wish to take a deep stretch here, lifting your arms up overhead, taking a deep inhale, sighing it out. One more deep inhale, sigh it out. Giving your knees one last well-deserved hug. Taking as much time as you need, turning to the right-hand side. And again, taking your time, with your eyes closed, pressing your left hand into the mat, coming up to any comfortable seated position. You may wish to place your hands in prayer, thanking yourself for taking time out of your busy day to practice this evening. Thanking your fellow yogis and yoginis for great energy they brought to the practice. And also I thank you from the bottom of my heart for practicing with me this evening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Namaste. Yes.